Now, from Louisiana's news channel, this is 9 News at 10.
Well, we're ending our 6th day since the flooding began for some in South Louisiana, but it's 2016 historic flooding, and people are still flooding anew. I'm Donna Britt.
I'm Greg Merriweather. For a lot of you, it's not over. We're checking in on our neighbors in North Baton Rouge. We'll get an update by the end of this broadcast. We've seen a little bit of street flooding and perhaps a little bit more, so look for a live report coming up in just a minute. Let's start, though, with the day that was, and the governor making his way all across the state. Our Kevin Fry joined him, and the purpose of this is the governor says he hears from the folks, and then he's able to take those concerns straight to his staff, and then things get done.
The governor and his team set off from Baton Rouge heading east. Communities that had dried out, such as Denham Springs, soon gave way to devastating sights. Parts of Livingston Parish and Ascension Parish still under several feet of water. The rooftops of these homes barely visible. Many of those families ended up here at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Ascension Parish.
Nobody wants to be here, and everybody is being somewhat inconvenienced and ready to go home. But to a person, everybody in there is thankful for having this available to them, and they believe they're being cared for as well as is possible under the circumstances.
Like he has time and time again this past week, Governor John Bel Edwards met one-on-one with those sheltering.
I hope they take good care of you here and you get home soon. How you doing, sweetheart? What's your name?
And gave thanks to those volunteering and lending a hand.
I'm very, very happy with the way they're being cared for. The volunteers, the medical staff, the people who are here working with the children. It just couldn't be better.
I'm just really impressed, and could see the passion in the volunteers' eyes that made so much of the rescues, and just a great cooperative effort.
Also at Lamar Dixon, an entire building set aside for the animals. Everything from dogs and guinea pigs to chickens. From there, the next stop took them to the Hunt Correctional Center and the women's prison in St. Gabriel, which was evacuated yesterday. From the air, you can see water surrounding that facility. The Secretary of the Department of Corrections says while water has not gotten into the cell blocks of the women's prison, many administration buildings are filled with 6 inches of water.
We regrouping for renovations. We already starting that process to get the water out of there with the tiger dams. We're going to pump it dry and start working on bringing it back online. You know, that's what we have to do next. And at Hunt, we're on standby, if we have to evacuate, but we're ready to if we have to.
At Hunt, sandbags are being loaded and taken by air to the Alligator Bayou, which is currently overflowing, putting some neighborhoods at risk. For Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, the sights of recent days are all too familiar.
It does bring back some memories, but to see that parish come back after being flooded for 3 hurricanes, we'll do it. Every parish will come back stronger and better than ever.
Traveling with the governor, Kevin Fry, WAFB 9 News.
Thank you, Kevin. WAFB received these pictures, and the sender described what happened. Quote, after hearing WAFB announce the Magnolia Bridge was open, I drove over to check on my pickup truck. I know it was probably completely underwater, but I was not expecting this. The water was so high, probably a good current. I think the water picked up the oil tanker, which drifted over my truck, and when the water receded, it wound up on top. The force and devastation of flooding in Livingston Parish can never be forgotten, end quote.
Well, they say take pictures of it for the insurance adjuster. That's going to be one surprise, insurance adjuster, when he sees that one.
Wow.
All right, today a bit of relief for the folks in Livingston Parish. The National Guard showed up and actually fed folks there. Our Scotty Hunter has the latest from Livingston.
Guys, we're just outside Denham Springs High School, where the National Guard has been for much of the day, passing out ready-to-eat meals and clean drinking water, those essential items that people need to get through the next couple of days. Now, if there's any doubt on how desperate the need is here in Denham Springs, this line speaks for itself. All day long outside Denham Springs High School, the line kept growing as hundreds of people stopped by, desperate for some form of relief. Members of the National Guard were here since morning, unboxing ready-to-eat meals and bottled water, providing the basic necessities for families who lost everything.
Everything is ruined. There's nothing that has not been affected by what happened. It's terrible.
Oh, Lord, there's just so much devastation out there. People flooded in, losing everything.
Carolyn Nix says the meals came just in time after days of not knowing where to turn.
All the grocery stores was closed. You know, you couldn't get anything. Just, yeah, you didn't have the money to get it once they opened.
How many kids you got? 3.
The National Guard unit came from Hammond, and their precision as close to perfect as you can get.
Thank you.
While some members were busy keeping traffic steady, others were constantly pulling in, bringing more supplies. The goal was to get as many people in and out as possible. Those on the receiving end say they can't quite put into words just how much they appreciate the help. How thankful are you for this?
Beyond thankful. Matter of fact, I asked for extra because we're just like 9 of us are helping my son, and we're exhausted.
And while it may not be gourmet, these folks say it's something better.
It's a blessing, that's what it is. It's incredible.
In Denham Springs, Scotty Hunter, WAFB 9 News.
The precision of the National Guard at Denham Spring High was just impressive.
We've said it over and over. People love the National Guard because they're usually our own neighbors taking
That's
care of us.
Yeah.
All right, we have a special guest here with us. Representative Ted James joins us here in the studio. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Greg.
I know you all have been busy, and you grew up in Baton Rouge. It's probably hard to see your city like this.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see images of my neighbors walking down the street early as Saturday when we were able to get back and try to pull some belongings, to see people in carts, to see my neighbors going down North Sherwood and, you know, a lot of water. That's actually my street there on Sunday.
Wow.
I was on a boat with some friends. We had so many people in our community to sacrifice and help others by putting their boats in the water to rescue. A friend of mine allowed me to get on his boat, and that's the entrance to my street. I live in Park Forest, and as you see there, I was extremely terrified not knowing the condition of my house on that Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's still heartbreaking. It's still unbelievable to go and see the debris out on the streets, and I believe that picture was taken today. That's on my street. I got home today and saw all of my neighbors outside and just continue to thank God that we didn't experience a mass amount of flooding, but it touches you when you see your neighbors. That was the scene on this afternoon. We were out there. Actually, my wife and my friends on yesterday, they got in the truck and started riding around the district, giving water, giving snacks, and we did that again this evening. And I'll tell you that folks are hurting, but they're extremely encouraged. And it's encouraging for me to be able to go out there and see my neighbors who have experienced such great loss, but they're still encouraged, and they were out there helping each other.
I feel like it's really brought a lot of folks together. One lady was talking about she didn't know all the neighbors on her street, but she does now because they've all really bonded together. And to see folks already getting their lives back together and clearing out their homes, that's at least encouraging.
It is, and I didn't know all the neighbors on my street until today. One lady, she was like, "Hey, I see you all the time," and she didn't know who I was, and I told her, I was like, "Look, I'm not out here in official capacity. I feel that it's a neighborly responsibility to get out there." And it's funny, in Park Forest on the sign it says, if you want a good neighbor, be one. So that's a good motto, and we have to live by it. And I witnessed it the last few days out in my neighborhood and throughout my district.
You know, people were cooking food and bringing them to the shelters, and they said, we have to sign contracts to keep a steady flow of food. Why don't you save that food and deliver it when they're cleaning their houses? And so when you walked up today with food and they didn't have to stop, cook, or go to some restaurant and find a place to eat, you really gave them a gift.
Yeah, we were out with snacks today, and we've been called by so many different organizations, and you get to the shelters, but you forget that there are so many people that are back in their homes all day. So just a bag of pretzels meant so much to people today, and I think it's important that those of us who were fortunate enough not to have to go in and clean out our homes, to get out there and try to put a smile on our neighbors' faces. I'll tell you that, folks were out. They were in their yards. They were helping each other. We saw folks from Central who had just, decided to ride through Baton Rouge, ride through Park Forest because they saw pictures on the internet and they wanted to help.
That's very good. Now, we were talking off camera about some of the projects that you've done since you started, and one that was probably pretty close to your heart right when you first got elected, and that took on water as well?
Yeah, one of the first projects we were able to do was to try to help Breck. When I campaigned, a lot of folks talked about we want to see more life in our parks. And there's a basketball court at the Breck Park on North Sherwood, and you see it's full every single day. On that Sunday, to see that basketball court with 4 feet of water, it was just, it hurt so much.
Yeah.
Because 3 weeks ago we were there for a groundbreaking because Breck is again investing into that park. So to see all of that work, the celebration that we had weeks ago, and now to see it just underwater. There was a truck that actually went into a ditch, and I know that most folks that travel, they know that there's a small portion that falls off into a ditch, but this guy was out there helping people, and his truck is still there. I passed it when I left my house tonight. That guy, a good Samaritan, he was bringing people back and forth down North Sherwood, and to see his truck still there, didn't even know the gentleman, but you know, I felt something in my heart for him because he was out there helping people in my neighborhood and my district.
Let me ask you this. Such great people in North Baton Rouge that, and a lot of them are good church-going people, and some of the churches took a little damage. Have you heard anything about that, and even the schools as well?
In my church, I go to Beacon Light, and it's on Prescott. We took a lot of water. Again, the church just went through a massive renovation, all new floors, new chairs, and only had one Sunday, last Sunday, to worship there, and now it's underwater. I talked to my pastor. He's not even worried about that. How can we get donations to help our members? And I've heard that Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, they have members there right now. They have kids there. They're feeding them, making sure that they at least try to help folks get to some sense of normalcy. So our faith-based community, they've been awesome in the face of so much destruction, but they're still ministering to people in a different light.
As a legislator, is there something that people can come to you for that maybe they couldn't get help with something else?
You know, right now it's getting the right information. There's so many different rumors out there, so I've tried to use my social media to educate folks on, you know, how do you apply for unemployment benefits. There was a rumor about the Red Cross giving out information, giving out checks. So we wanted to make sure that, number one, you know, apply for FEMA. So I think that that's our role right now, to get accurate information out there. I've been in meetings with the governor and his staff every morning, and I try to get information back through social media so my folks understand, you know, when you get out there, clean up, take pictures, you know, if you're moving the flooring, save samples. So that's my role right now, to try to facilitate a good flow of information, because, you know, we are so hurting right now. And for me, I want to make sure that I don't give false hope. So when I see the information about Red Cross giving out checks and I know it's not true, I have to get out there and give it. Today I actually posted a picture with a representative from FEMA, so you know, people could understand that I'm not just making these things up, that it's coming from the officials that are here on the ground. And I have to tip my hat to all of our officials. FEMA, they've been here and they're providing the information. And I just hope that, you know, our community is going to be a long process. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. So I hope that I'm able to, you know, do some good for my community and provide them accurate information as they go through some tough times.
I really think FEMA learned a lot during Katrina.
Most definitely.
Because they didn't come right away, and them being here. We mentioned at the top of the news that there's some water rising near Southern University, and I know you'd looked at some pictures. We don't have any concrete details on it just yet, but we are checking with authorities. We do know that they've dispatched some police to that area, so they're going to check on that, and I know you'll be working on that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much so, and take care of all your folks, as I know that you will, and we're very grateful that you've been here and you've been on the ground and you're getting things moving. So
well, it's important. This is my community, and I hate to see it in such the bad conditions that we're in. But you know, I believe it. You guys started the Unbroken hashtag, and I've been using it. And I certainly believe it. We are facing tough times, but we're going to rise from this bigger, better, and stronger. I certainly believe it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Representative Ted James. We appreciate you very much. So.
All right, we're going to check with Jay Grimes now. Thank you.
All right, let's check in on radar. Yeah, there have been some very heavy rains this afternoon and evening across the area. Remember when we were with you at 6 o'clock, we had this flash flood warning in effect for a good bit of EBR Parish, basically the northern half of the parish, or at least the northwestern half of the portion of the parish. And it has since expired, but those storms that rolled through certainly left a mess. The rains are just about over now there. One little storm that really popped up south of Krotz Springs. Fortunately for Krotz Springs, kind of fell apart before it got there, and it's kind of dying out as it tries to make its way near Melville. And then some storms that were up in southwestern Mississippi continuing to lift to the north. Here's the footprint of rainfall today. We'll get to Baton Rouge here in a second. I just want to take you over into Acadiana, over just to the east of Lafayette. Check this out at Parks. How about 6 inches of rain today? Boy, you don't need that. And, you know, we haven't talked a whole lot about the flooding that's going on in Acadiana. Not nearly as excessive as ours, but that's not going to help things. And, yeah, the Vermilion River's been in flood for quite some time. From St. Gabriel up into southern EBR Parish, you got an area here of anywhere from maybe 2 inches or more falling. And then we get to the northeast of the city and a broad swath here. And let's get in a little bit tighter, kind of give you a sense of some of the numbers here. And there you go, nearly 4 inches of rain between Baker and Zachary. Getting in a little bit closer here and kind of get your bearings. Here's 110, there's Airline Highway there, and right around here just near Delmont Place, let's check that out. We got 3.5 between Southern and Brownsville, and it's right in here that you come up with 4 inches of rain. That's why we're having some high water problems up there again. This is more along the lines of nuisance flooding, but remember, there's no place for this water to go. The canals, the ditches, the gutters, the drainage system is already maxed out, and so this has only exacerbated flooding up there. Yeah, we got a crew heading that way, and hopefully we'll have something for you before the hour is out. Meanwhile, the rain's extended all the way up into southwestern Mississippi. Let's get to some of those river stages now. False River, another 1/10 of good news. Yeah, that's right. 1/10 of a drop this afternoon into the early evening. That gives you a sense of just how incredibly slow that process is going to be. Yeah, the drainage is open there at the canal. It just can't handle this massive amount of water. All right, we get over on the Amie now. Denham below flood stage. That's great news. Bayou Manchac now just under 16 feet. Good news there. Port Vincent continues a slow but steady fall. French Settlement down to 8.3. That's great. I mean, you were almost a half a foot above that. Maurepas, we think, has probably crested right at about 5.7. Heading over onto the Tickfall, Highlight and Killian there at 5.7. Certainly much better than what you were just a day or so ago, but it's going to be a long time before you get back below that 4-foot flood stage. Over on the Grand River at Bayou Sorrel, that's right, folks, to our west, we haven't forgotten about you. It's flat on the Grand River. It's also flat on the Atchafalaya at the Bayou Sorrel lock there, although you can see a lot of data missed, and we think it's running at about 7.2, 7.3 at the lock. All right, getting into Ascension Parish. We've got 4 points here. We're going to look at 3 of them. We'll start up here in the northeastern part of the parish, and you can see steady fall. Great news there, and that's because the crest of the the crest of the Amite has moved well south of the northern portion of the parish. We'll get right in the heart of the parish near Gonzales. Also a little bit of a slip, so water levels falling at least through the northern half of the parish. Now we get down here near Burnside, hit another one here, and there's a little bit of certainly not what we want to see. Still showing a little bit of a rise, but not enough to get really concerned about, especially when you compare to what it was just a little while ago. All right, changing it up a little bit. We'll take a look at another perspective, and here I think we're going to go visit the Bayou Manchac. Now, there's Bayou Manchac right there. East Baton Rouge, Ascension, Iberville. We'll get in a little bit tighter, mark the bayou for you there. And we've got 2 gauges that are just on the inside of Bayou Manchac, basically monitoring Spanish Lake and Bluff Swamp. And unfortunately, both of those are still going up. Now, when I say unfortunately, you folks that drain off of Bayou Manchac, this isn't bad news for you. This is flooding on the swamp side of the levee, or Bayou Manchac Road, which means that the swamp is still filling up. This is trouble for folks that live in places like along Bluff Road and down towards St. Gabriel. And of course, this is the same kind of problem they're having at the 2 penitentiaries down there in St. Gabriel. So the 2 prisons there being flooded by that water there, and even some concern that it'll swing around into St. Gabriel proper as the days go on. All right, heading into Livingston Parish. Here's Lake Maurepas, St. John the Baptist, and Ascension Parish. We're going to look at just about 6 or 7 more gauges here. We'll start up at Killian. Taking a look at Killian, slow, steady fall. Great news there. Coming on back down here to Maurepas. We said we thought it was flat, and you can see it really hasn't moved much. Now Maurepas is really dependent upon what Lake Maurepas is going to do. This is Maurepas on the Amite, and I'm going to show you the lake here in a second. We'll take one more look here. French Settlement. Slow fall, but good news there. All right, now I want you to look at this gauge right here. This is right out in the marshland off of the lake. This is really kind of telling us what the lake is doing. And when we look at that, you see it is flat at about 5 feet. Remember that number, 5 feet. All right, coming back over here into Ascension Parish, we're on the New River Canal there. It's showing a slow but good steady fall there. That's great news. Moving over a little bit farther to the west on the Bayou Conway, and finally, we were watching it climb most of the day. Finally, it looks like it's peaked out, and that's probably going to start a fall too. Now we're going to come all the way down in here to St. John Parish. Remember, we said this guy right here running about 5 feet. The water levels are still rising in St. James and St. John Parish on the east side of the river. And I'll show you that here with this river gauge or water level gauge. And you can see it's on the rise, and notice it's at about 3.7. This could get up to around 5 feet before all is said and done, because it's going to match up with Lake Pontchartrain. This reflects the flooding they're seeing on the backside of St. James and St. John Parish, places like Paulina. We showed you that earlier tonight. Gramercy, Lutcher, and you head on down into St. John Parish. That's a bit of a problem because they could see the waters continuing to rise possibly for another day or so before it maxes out. That's a pretty good wrap up of the rivers and the water levels around the area. Let's get back to the news desk, and I will give you...
Go ahead.
We'll give you the full weather in just a handful of minutes.
All right, Jay Grimes. I was going to say that, but he just did so well.
We have a team in North Baton Rouge checking out the reports of new flooding. We'll get that report next. Stay.
Mic check 1, 2, 3. We're at the intersection of Cormorant Street and Scenic Highway here.
All afternoon, Louisiana National Guard Chinooks dropped off.
There's another top over there, bud.
From school supplies to cleaning.
Hi, if you were here with us at 6, you knew that heavy rain was falling in Baton Rouge with fierce lightning, and especially in North Baton Rouge, they were worried.
They are worried indeed. We've checked in with our with authorities, and now we have our Scotty Hunter out there. Scotty, kind of set the scene for us. Are we talking about anything? Is this localized street flooding, or what is this?
Yeah, guys, we're at the intersection of Cormorant Street and Scenic Highway here in Scotlandville, where this is the concern that people have, this water that is backed up into the streets. A lot of people, obviously, after what's happened over the past several days, are concerned about their homes. If you take a look over here, you can see that the water is close to the homes, but at this point, it doesn't seem that there's any significant threat to the homes here. There are a lot of residents out here that obviously are concerned about this, and they've been trying to tell us as much as they know. From what we've been told out here is that there was a group of workers that were working on some railroad tracks near this area, and with that rain that came through within the past couple of hours, of course, that led to some rain kind of backing up near these homes. But we did check in with Casey Hicks, spokeswoman for the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. Right now she tells us that there are pockets where the water has backed up, but there's no significant threat specifically to these homes, pertaining to what we've seen over the past couple of days. So at this point, no severe threat, no danger to these homes right now, but just some water backup in certain pockets.
Scotty Hunter in Scotlandville for us tonight. Thank you, sir.
Well, we are interested in Alligator Bayou, and Jay showed you the hydrology of it. Let's go to Josh Gant now. Who's there?
All afternoon, Louisiana National Guard Chinooks dropped off sandbags to try and stop the flow of water along Alligator Bayou Road in the Prairieville community. The bags seem to hold. On the other end, the waters did flood the old Alligator Bayou Swamp Tours business. State Representative Tony Bacala out surveying the damage Wednesday. He says now the focus shifts to recovery once the waters recede.
This is part one. Part two is the aftermath, when you have to pick up the parts of your life. And certainly that's going to be the long, drawn-out process once this finite period of tragedy passes.
I spoke to the parish's public works director. He told me all of this water should be out of here between midnight and 6 a.m., but now the concern is south of here because this water has to go somewhere. That'll do it for now. We're just outside Baton Rouge. I'm Josh Gant for WAFB 9 News.
Josh Gant from our Raycom family reporting.
Yes, that water was moving fast indeed. All right, this one here, if it wasn't too late, might make you a little hungry. We're feeding the folks there. A lot of folks, of course, don't have time to take a second and make a meal and do all this. So a lot of the food is helping out. Let's check in with Rob Masson, who found a barbecue crew up to some good.
There's another top over there, bud.
They are here to feed bodies and spirits in desperate need of mending.
We got some butts coming off here in a little bit.
Dozens of volunteers with Operation Barbecue are cooking hundreds of tons of meat to provide meals to flood victims in our area.
Groups all over this community as well as communities west. We had 1,000 going out through the church here. We had another 800 or so going to the Springfield Church.
The food is relief for Brother Jace Shali, who says 85% of his congregation at Bethlehem Baptist Church in Albany has suffered catastrophic damage to their homes.
It's been a blessing for us because of low manpower. We're operating with the same folks, so your team gets tired, and they're running low on gas themselves. So it's been a blessing to be able to relieve some of the cooking time.
The damage across the North Shore extends all the way to Robert and beyond.
This was a little dining room. This is where everything was. The fridge, it started, it got buoyant, came forward, and then fell back. So it kind of ripped itself out of the wall.
Darren Chambers got nearly 3 feet of water in his home in the Autumn Trace subdivision, and now he and his neighbors have most of their belongings piled on their front yards.
Realized how much I didn't pick up in time, and all the things that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I own that. A lot of things that, pictures and stuff like that. And I had a roommate, he's not here right now, but he lost a lot of pictures and a lot of personal effects.
If they need a meal, Operation Barbecue is nearby.
This is all volunteer.
And they promise to continue churning out tons of food to help fuel the recovery, as long as it takes.
That's Rob Masson reporting there, and we mentioned that earlier when we saw a piece of that story, how much love they were putting into that, and said put a little bit more on top with that seasoning there, getting the people good to go.
Speaking of love, reaching over from Mississippi even to help us here. Here's a report on a group that did it from Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
From school supplies to cleaning items. As word started getting out about the flood relief drive at all Ocean Springs campuses, donations came through the doors of Magnolia Park Elementary.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought it would be good to help the people in Louisiana because they got flooded.
Many of us here at the school have family members over there. Some of us are from Southeast Louisiana. We have roots there.
The tragedy hit close to home for the principal of Magnolia Park. You see, Allison Block's sister-in-law is the assistant principal of Denham Springs High. The school flooded over the weekend. So did her home. That's why the Ocean Springs School District decided to adopt Denham Springs High.
What did you think when you heard that?
It just made me warm and fuzzy all over.
That is awesome. I have no words.
We watched as Block shared the news with her sister-in-law, Shauna Giddens, through FaceTime.
I think that is wonderful. That's why I love my sister-in-law. We've got a few supplies in already. What do you think about all this right here?
That's fantastic. I can't begin to thank you enough. No words will be able to thank you enough for everything.
Ocean Springs Greyhounds, giving back to help a school family in need.
Love you.
Bye.
The Greyhounds are the high school mascot. Ocean Springs is right next to Biloxi. It's to the east of Biloxi.
Right next to my heart now. That's some sweet people there. Sister taking care of her sister.
All right, we'll be back with more, including Jacques Doucet, still to come.
Some of the victims of the Louisiana floods can't tell their stories.
We get to have a pet, even though we're in the middle.
Our continuing coverage of the 2016 historic flooding continues, and I guess if you've watched us for maybe 30 minutes or so, you know that you have some animal lovers here at WAFB, and while we're so happy to see the people rescued, we're also happy to see the pets rescued.
Well, on the North Shore, Greg Adeline visited the Mandeville Animal Hospital, which is helping to doctor some of the pets that have been rescued.
Some of the victims of the Louisiana floods can't tell their stories, but their scars say it all.
This is Star.
Liza Leday runs the Mandeville Animal Hospital, the new home to 17 dogs rescued from the rooftop of the animal shelter in Denham Springs as floodwaters rose ever higher.
The Humane Society of Louisiana and several of their volunteers, and I'm sure other groups that I don't know of, they valiantly went out for most of the days. That they're still out there doing rescues even as we speak.
Leday says she felt compelled to contact the Louisiana Humane Society and the Animal Rescue of New Orleans when the torrential rain wouldn't quit, knowing abandoned pets may soon follow the floods. It just so happened she had the room to spare and the helping hands ready to act on Monday night when a bus full of weary and wounded dogs pulled up.
We weren't sure what to expect, but about 10 o'clock at night on Monday, 17 sick and dehydrated, scared animals came, and we were ready for them, and everyone just helped triage.
With the medical needs quickly addressed, Lede took to Facebook enlisting volunteers to walk and care for the dogs, and the response has been overwhelming.
There were some, healthy ones that just needed to be walked and fed and watered, but there was a collapsed patient here, TJ, so we immediately took him in on a stretcher and assessed him, placed an IV catheter, gave him treatments, and he perked up.
Most of the dogs have wounds from nipping at each other on the rooftop. The scars reveal the fight to survive, but those scars, like so many others, will heal with loving care.
I'm doing good, better now.
We get to have a pet, even though we're in the middle of flood coverage. Jacinta, thank you so much. This is the usual day for Adopt-A-Pet,
It
right?
is. This is the usual day.
All right, tell us about this pet, and we'll get on to other things.
Okay, this is Rex. He is about 1.5 years old. He's a little scruffy terrier mix of some sort, and he's so sweet.
My
he's
dog
looking for
likes
a family.
this right here. My dog's a terrier, too. The Companion Animal Alliance has been taking in pets, right?
Correct.
At
Correct.
the shelter. Tell
Yes.
us how many you've gotten and what kinds of animals.
We've gotten in over 300 since the flooding has started, and that's majority of those are people that can't take their pets where they're going, so they bring them to us for us to house them until they can get situated. And then also people are finding animals, they're bringing them in. Animal control is finding animals, they're bringing them in. LSORT's out and they're finding stuff and bringing them in. So yeah, and people are starting to come back and get their pets once they find a place to stay at and get back in their house. They're coming to get them. So it's overwhelming, but it's nice seeing people being reunited with their pets.
Now, you've been getting donations, haven't you?
We
Tell us
have.
about what those donations are used for and how many you've gotten.
I can't even count. We've gotten so much. It's amazing the way the community has come forth. They are bringing us cat food and dog food and kitty litter and paper towels and bleach and everything we've asked for, they're bringing us. Even office supplies, we made a call out for that. We've gotten tons of highlighters and ink pens and everything. But right now what we need is monetary donations, money to take care of the pets. All the supplies we've gotten, now we just need money.
Now, how do they get it to you? They can come?
They can bring it to us, you can mail it to us, or get on our website. So our website is caabr.org, and the mailing address is 2680 Progress Road. Or bring it out to us and come adopt a pet.
So it's also to visit there, go to Progress Road.
Correct, across from the airport, yep.
And the pets that you have, do you have any cats at all? I've been getting emails from cat lovers saying, you only show dog rescues, and that's not really true, but out on the scene when you're rescuing cats, shy away from a camera. You know, it's so hard to find cats.
We haven't been getting a lot of cats in yet. I think they'll probably come out once the waters maybe go down some. That's what I'm being told. The cats come out then. So it's mostly dogs we're getting right now.
Well, the Companion Animal Alliance doing a very important function in this flood crisis. We really appreciate you guys, and thank you for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
All right, and I believe he is available for adoption. You can go get him there over by the airport. Okay, this is kind of hard to see, but this is a donkey taking refuge in the floodwaters, and guess who took refuge on his head? A chicken.
Oh.
A very smart chicken found a donkey and jumped on his head, and now the two are safe from the floodwaters. This was sent in to us from 9 Reports. You can also send us your pictures. We'd love to see them. 9 Reports at WAFB.com, or of course, during these emergency type things, you can send it to alert at WAFB.com. We'd like to see what you see out there. We'll be back with more of our continuing coverage. Stay with us.
This is Chief Meteorologist This is Chief Meteorologist Jay Grimes from the team that promises to alert you first.
For some of our friends up in North Baton Rouge, when you thought it was all over, then you have an event like this that certainly shook them up, but there's not enough water up there to cause any significant flooding. Let me show you what happened. Got these storms that rolled through right from south to north across East Baton Rouge Parish. In fact, you'll notice, see that shape right there, that pink area, or rather pink, that green area there? It has been a long few days. That green area right there, that's where we had a flash flood warning because these storms, as they rolled by, dumped a ton of water. Things are quieting down, though. Last of the storms moving out of our viewing area up into Mississippi. But here's the footprint of the rain today. We talked about those big rains over in Acadiana. Yeah, they're dealing with flooding too, but right around here. And what happened was this storm started down here in portions of Assumption, St. James, Ascension Parish, and powered up just in time, unfortunately, to get into EBR Parish. And you can see the trace of the heaviest rains there. We'll get it a little bit tighter. This band here is generally 3 inches plus. A couple of totals around the area, nearly 4 inches of rain between Baker and Zachary. Between highways 19 and Plank Road, 30.3 inches of rain. So you're hoping maybe the numbers are coming down. No, we get in a little tighter here. And just inside the 190 curve here, check out that 4 inches of rain around Delmont, right in the same places that a day ago I was showing you the map with the dense rescue plot. Remember, we were looking at this very same area. That's where one of the heaviest cores of rescues in the region were. And here now they get 4 inches of rain, and that's, of course, prompted a lot of concern. But you shouldn't have too much problem. It's just going to take forever to drain. There's no place for it to go. The canals, the sewer systems are all still at full capacity for the most part. False River, 21.7. You broke your record about 24 hours ago, and the fall has been really, really slow. That'll continue not just for days, but probably weeks. You get over on the Amite River, things are improving. Bayou Manchac Point now down below 16 feet and should continue to show a slow, steady fall. Port Vincent getting down to close to 13 feet. French Settlement, you'll be down below 8 feet before the morning. Maurepas at 5.7, and I think you're about flat there. The question is, how long will it stay? How long will it take you to get down below 4 feet? Over on the Tickfall, we're highlighting Killian there at 5.7, certainly an improvement, but the fall there is certainly going to be a slow one. Don't forget, you can get all of our river stage information and water levels across the area. Here's our main page, WAFB.com, and right along this banner here you'll see river stages. All you do is you click that and it's going to take you to the page, and then you can pick out which station you want updated routinely. Temperatures around the area, still a little rain cooled over the Felicianas and into EBR Parish. Most of you in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, and just about everybody stays in the mid 70s for that overnight low. Mainly a quiet dry morning start and drive. A spotty shower possible. Don't worry about that. But into the afternoon, here they come again. And notice how they're sliding in off of the Gulf of Mexico. Our model just picking up on a textbook sea breeze there. It lifts to the north. We get into the evening, go to the overnight. It quiets down again. Spotty showers along the coast early. And then here comes the next sea breeze. And that's the pattern we're going to see each and every day through the week. Afternoon showers and a few thunderstorms lifting from south to north and keeping us on the wetter side. And oh yeah, yep, there it is, Fiona. Way out there in the Atlantic, no threat for us. And so the question is, could it come this way? Let me give you the coordinates first. 15.5, 39.0, moving to the west-northwest at 16 with winds at about 40. Now we'll show you the track, and this is something that's going to give us at least, I think, a little bit of relief as it pushes off to the northwest for the most part. Now, that doesn't say it can't get into the Gulf, but certainly that track is unfavorable for a late shift to turn towards the Gulf, but yep, you know, you got to watch it for a while. We'll have our eyes on it for you. So as you work through the morning hours, mid and upper 70s to begin the day. We're up around 80 degrees by lunchtime. Into the afternoon, 91 for the high. We'll go with a 40% chance of rain, and it'll be one of those days where by lunchtime we're up around near that 90-degree mark with the heat index climbing up to the triple digits, at least for an hour or two for most neighborhoods. Rain breaking out, mainly dry in the morning, scattered showers in the afternoon. And then we're going to do it every single day for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Let's just hope we can avoid another one of those 4-inch bullseyes like we saw tonight in the Baton Rouge area. Scattered showers and thunderstorms each and every day, highs in the 90s. Guys?
Thank you very much, Jay. We appreciate it. 9 reports out there shows you exactly the day that our viewers are having today. Take a look at this video here. Now watch it closely. You can see how fast the current is moving. That is a loose boat that's coming down there, and you'll see as it makes its way through. Obviously, this is in Maurepas, by the way, Loretta. Looks like it damaged part of that bridge there and obviously damaged the boat. This is Highway 22 at the Diversion Canal. Currently there, we're told that the water has receded just a little bit, but maybe you've been there. It's the bridge, we're told, right next to Kevin's Seafood.
9 Sports shows this pic of nature's fury, probably of this afternoon's storms, Jay. Andy posted it with the caption, "Wow." This pic is humorous. Jeff Coleman had his sandbags in place alongside his house, and he is, quote, high and dry on his little island. This family went back to their house in Santa Maria to find standing water and said they were able to salvage at least something. And yes, we have another lemonade stand. Let's hear it for Kara, Emma, Bailey, who are raising money for the American Red Cross flood relief. This poor fella's outside his work shed on Phillips Road in Santa Maria. Imagine the tools are soaked. And this post by Cameron Daniels says, "When this is all you have left of your lifetime of memories." And from Livingston Parish, Mike Fontenot posted this declaration of patriotism despite the floods. This is in the Stone Ridge Crossing subdivision on Highway 447 South. We'll be back in a moment on 9 News.
The devastation caused by these floods, you almost have to go.
It's been rough. It's been a struggle mentally, but it's nothing we
When we see Jacques Doucet, we know that fun is on the way because we love sports.
This whole community loves sports, and it's often a distraction of some sorts, but this time our athletes are doing good and giving back to this community. They live in it, so they're helping out their neighbors.
And I think the coaches at LSU and the administration give these guys a message that they're not only athletes, they need to be involved in the community, and that indeed takes place. From day one, LSU head baseball coach Paul Mainieri has not only demanded his players be excellent on the field, but good citizens off it as well. Wednesday afternoon, it was clear this current group of Tigers have clearly gotten the message and are intent to give back when needed. LSU baseball great Ben McDonald's mother-in-law needed help in Denham Springs. She lives alone and had many things to move and clean up. Coach Paul Mainieri says he sent a message to his team asking them to show up, and almost all of them did. And after the work was done at that house, the Tigers then began walking around that Denham Springs neighborhood, helping others in need. Coach Mainieri said naturally some people got wide-eyed when Alex Lang, Kramer Robertson, and Cole Freeman just strolled into their home to help out. Coach Mainieri extremely proud of his team, but at the same time, he wasn't really in the mood to talk about baseball considering what he witnessed today.
The devastation caused by these floods, you almost have to go out there into the communities to see it for yourself. As I was driving down I-12 and I could see the water line on the trees that were lining I-12, you know, where the mud was caked up to a certain level, had to be 6 or 10 feet high. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what are we going to see when we get to this neighborhood? And then when I saw the neighborhood, it was something out of a movie. You know, you just saw all these homes, and this was just one street. How many streets are there? You know, I know the loss of life has not been as great as it was with Katrina. I mean, all the lives that were lost obviously are very cherished lives, and even one life lost is sad. But you know, I know overall the loss of life was not as great as Katrina, but it's hard for me to imagine that Katrina had any worse of the damage to homes and to people's belongings. I mean, there's people that have lost everything and have no idea what to do. It just makes your heart bleed.
Now, even though they're in a much more critical and pressure-packed time of year than the LSU baseball team, be looking for the LSU football Tigers to be joining the recovery effort soon as well. Tonight we had a chance to speak with the players for the first time since the flood, including Denham Springs native Caleb Roddy and former Redemptorist star Russell Gage.
It's been rough. It's been a struggle mentally, but it's nothing we can't overcome. You know what I'm saying? My family's resilient. I believe in them. I think we can get through it. We just got to work hard. You never hear about that in Denham. You know, it's normally something you hear about New Orleans. That's not common in New Orleans, but you would expect it from New Orleans. But Denham, it blew my mind. It almost like it wasn't real. It was like a movie almost, like I was watching a scene from a movie. It's not something you expect. It's tragic, man.
It's definitely unpredictable. I never would have thought something like this could happen, you know, around Baton Rouge area. It brings back flashbacks, I guess you could say, of Katrina, you know, watching everything on TV. I remember when I was really young.
You know, I just think if we play football this year and win a national championship, which is the ultimate goal, everyone will be happy. And I don't want to say forget about this, but it'll lift their spirits.
We take care of business this season and do what we can do, and we know we can do, and we may bring the state back to where it needs to be. But right now, you know, the state of Louisiana is in a healing process, and I think we'll be fine.
Louisiana is our home. I mean, I want to help in whatever way we can. If that's playing football, if that's going to help out in shelters, you know, I'm all for that. You know, I love this state. You know, this state raised me. And if there's any possible way of giving back, you know, I'm all for it 100%.
What a summer Kobe Delahousse has been through. Of course, he was in a car accident in Wisconsin that claimed the lives of 2 other young men, and now the floods here in the Baton Rouge area. And guys, I say this, and I'm totally not trying to be insensitive, but when LSU lines up against Wisconsin, there will be no excuses about, oh, we had a flood and this and that. I mean, they expect to go out there and to win and to play well and to perform well, not only for the Baton Rouge community, but for the entire state of Louisiana. Coach Miles will not let them have any built-in excuses, nor will the coaching staff. They have to perform at a high level.
We were just chatting. We're not that far away from Friday night football, and a lot of the schools, especially in the Central and Livingston area, they're going to have some trouble getting that together.
No doubt about it, and there's also a safety issue involved as well. I mean, you cannot not practice and then just show up on a Friday night and try to play football at full speed. I mean, it's a violent game, obviously, and like you said, Denham Springs, Live Oak, all those teams we cover out in the Livingston Parish area. You know, when you have no idea when school's going to open, football is, and you really hate it, especially for the seniors. You know, for the rest of their lives. You know, they talk about their senior year in high school, their high school football year. I hope they get that year.
Thank you very much, Jock. We'll be right back.
In my years, I've watched the Good Times roll, where stories of castles and kings are told.
We have a new fundraising total in our efforts to try and raise money for our flood relief victims at WAFB. On our microsite, we raised almost $65,000. Our phone bank in Baton Rouge raised $37,000.
And with all the extra cities raising money, it raised $215,000. Now, a look at Baton Rouge as the Visitors Bureau wants you to see it.
In my years, I've watched the good times roll, where stories of castles and kings are told. For born and raised and new in town, our dreams are shared in common ground. I am beauty. I've seen the sky swirl with purple and orange hues, where azaleas line boulevards and avenues, from mysterious cypress and magnolia groves to majestic oaks along river roads. I am celebration. I've danced in pews and worshipped at parades, whether clear skies or rainy days, where river lights twinkle red, white, and green, and the trees sprout beads for leaves. I am rhythm. I've seen pink flocks on pink streets, a place where blues and zydeco meet, where houses echo with juke and jive and groove to jazzy lullabies. I am flavor. I've cooked in colorful kitchens and laughed with even more colorful people. I've feasted on crawfish and etouffee with po' boys and gumbo and catfish fillet. I am spirit. I've fought like a tiger and danced in the company of saints. With drumlines and jaguars I've reveled